Okay, this is day 81 of making little videos of Day in the Thought, the life of Schizophrenic Dominic. I make these little videos to express some amount of sanity amidst the world going crazy on me and turning things around and saying that I was crazy or insane. In day 17 and day 45 of these videos, I express why I make these videos in the first place, the first 3 minutes on day 45. In day 17, it expresses why I choose to call myself a schizophrenic rather than targeted individual. And actually, I made this video earlier today and it got cut off, so here we go again. And I make these videos to express some amount of sanity and to express myself as a sane person. And day, I also will post to the topic section of these videos my book which I wrote called Unveiling the Schizophrenic Tradition, and it describes my thought processes which could have got me targeted, and it explains why the knowledge I have about technology which could cause voice hearing and things of that nature and stuff, other technologies of organizations interested in inflicting schizophrenia. I don't believe I am crazy, and I believe that I am experiencing a schizophrenic reality. Okay, so here we go. I talk little things every day, read little books, and say little thoughts to get the feedback and to document myself for YouTube. Wary of people who find. Okay, yeah. Last night. I had a dream, and I don't know where the dreams come from. I don't know if they're dream hacking or if they are intergalactic or whatever. And I had a dream, and in the middle of the dream, I was grabbing these two knives, and it was like total chaos, and people were all grabbing weapons in this warehouse kitchen. And I was saying to out loud, I was like, I don't even know what side I'm on here because no one's wearing uniforms, no one's standing for anything. I don't even know what we're fighting about or what's going on. And it was kind of insane. And the guy goes, well, I'm on 2.1, and he had like this big bat or something and stuff. And I was like, okay, 2.1 with a bat, what is that? And anyways, so I was thinking to myself as I was holding these two knives, certain death awaits me here. And so I was struck by the fact that things are spiraling out of control here, and you have Elon Musk say things like on his Twitter account. I don't know what he said it, but he said it, and he said that civil war is inevitable. This guy's now running the government, and so I was thinking to myself, we're headed towards old ways, and I thought of that song "Old Ways" by Loreena Mckenitt, and I posted it, and I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, old ways. We're headed to the old ways of the 20th century, where massive violence, where people were put into these camps, and we got into massive violence or whatever. And it seems like people are trying to orchestrate us towards those ends now. And I'm really weary of people who find beauty in fascism. I'm really weary of people who find beauty in disintegration of democracy or the contraction of democracy. In reality, we should be expanding American democracy and expanding democratic forms. And I'm really weary of the fact that people are finding beauty in potentially revolutionary civil war or in beauty in civil war itself. And it's kind of scary to me. And in my dream, I was thinking certain death awaits me here with these two knives, and I was thinking that's probably the true thing. And so I woke up and I was thinking like old ways. And if I'm thinking if we're gonna do these old ways, then I'm going to the older ways, and I'm getting the hell out of here, and I'm migrating. And that's how my ancestors have stayed alive for so long and stuff. So uh, that's what I want to do. And so if this place disintegrates even more, and I don't know what's going to happen, maybe this is just a crazy dream. But okay, yeah. So AOC had a rally in Arizona yesterday, I think, or today or something. I think it might have been yesterday, and it said that fear the fork in the upper portion of the corner, and so my family knows what that means. And it's so fear the fork. Hopefully, that's a good sign that there's some sort of leadership leading us towards like sanity or something, but I don't know. And yeah, okay, so next topic. Oh, by the way, my mom is 67 and my dad is 69. My dad turned 70. I had said they were 70 and 66. My mom had just turned 67 and my dad is turning 70. Okay. So, David A. Hughes, shock doctrine. Okay, so David A. Hughes talks about in the book about war for technocracy and so COVID-19 psychological operations, about how after World War One, psychiatrists and people in the government found out that the shell shock soldiers were very malleable in their ideations and their brain responses to ideas and stuff. And so the Tavistock Institute learned about this and took over psychiatry in the world, and they started to realize they could do mind control and they could do collective shocks to people. And so I think, I don't know if you ever saw the book, but the Shock Doctrine, or read the book by Naomi Klein, who's an environmentalist activist, and she talked about the shock doctrine and how there was a collective shock put on people during Katrina, and it was used to hammer home particular points and political maneuverings or whatever. But shock doctrine goes all the way back to World War II and or shell shock and everything. And it was a little bit of synchronicity in this book is in this case, David Hughes is talking about COVID-19 as a massive shock put on people, where there was mind control emanating out of the shock to put people in a malleable position after COVID. And personally, I think COVID was done for the backlash, and we're seeing it right now with Donald Trump in office. I think that was a shock doctrine, and it was designed to use uh, Anthony Fauci in the white coat. And I've shared that article the other day about how potentially Biden was the precursor to Trump, and COVID-19 was the precursor to this fascist move that we're seeing now. And it is likely done to disintegrate our democracy for whatever purposes in the future. And this guy's saying that there's camps on both sides of the aisle that would like to see democracy disintegrate, so some sort of 2.0 can come. And you have the fascists on the right, and then you have the people, the progressives on the left. And the fascists on the right like the idea of this corporate fiefdom, and the people on the left like the idea of like challenging the fascists, and they think they can beat the fascists and stuff. And so it's that's where we're at right now. So if I have to pick one, I'm picking the left, but I don't like the idea of, hey, let's just forego democracy and do this battle of wills here. And so yeah, not really liking that. And anyways, so shock doctrine, the idea of putting people through collective shock, and we're going through like a 9/11 collective shock between the Elon Musk and Donald Trump right now. And in a little synchronicity here I'm going to point out is that David A. Hughes points out that one of the lead psychiatrist guys in this shock doctrine was a guy by the name of Rhys. And my high school math teacher was named Mr. Rhys, and that was where I started doing bad in math. I started getting bad grades. I got like a C minus or whatever, or I think I got it like a D eventually. And that was in trig, algebra two trigonometry or something. And I really struggled, and I had to go get tutoring or whatever, and everyone liked this teacher, Mr. Reese or whatever, but there was something about him that I didn't like, and I thought he didn't explain things very well, and he's kind of pompous, and yeah, so uh, in any event, I was just a teenager who didn't know how to raise my hand and ask questions and stuff, but yeah, so Mr. Reese, and I'm seeing this Reese guy, and I was like, maybe there's time travel, and they're setting up this thing right in the middle of World War II or something, or there's some sort of synchronicity between Mr. Reese and that Reese in there, and maybe something what was going on with me in high school. And I started thinking about, like, like high schools themselves as these massive shock doctrines where the kids are doing these like shock doctrine things on each other and stuff, and right. Okay, and I started thinking back yesterday. I said that I really don't think that thousands of teenagers should be penned in with each other in these penned in schools. I'm not convinced that that is the best way to go about your teenage years, and so some people love it, but I don't know. It doesn't seem to be producing that great of a society. Okay, so 7 billion people in the world, 2 million fascists. Okay, so going back into shock doctrine thing, the fascists for a long time have been setting up the cameras, and I'm not against surveillance in any way or whatever, but it is set up to document crimes for the purposes of sensationalization, and to what end is that happening? And so I was thinking to myself, in a world of 7 billion people, all it would take is a couple million out of 7 billion. That's less than 1% of the population. And we know that fascists are highly organized people. And it would just take a couple million people to migrate to America, the center of the imperial order, of the democratic imperial order now it is. But and it would just take a couple million to migrate to the United States, cause some problem, or to the Western world or whatever. And these could be 2 million fascists, and they could cause problems in the world, carrying the identity of immigrant or normal immigrant, and under that guise, they can give clout to the anti-immigration rhetoric of homegrown fascists. And we know that fascists are organized, and by giving that clout to the home, they're pushing a fascist agenda. So it would just take 2 million organized people to push a fascist agenda by going into countries as immigrants and doing misdeeds and tainting the whole immigrant population. And so I was just thinking, like, I'm not convinced that all these cameras that were set up to see, like, put the camera in front of your house and see the thief come up and smash your window, or put the camera on your car, or, like, it was just like, it's almost like they're filming a movie or something. And it's very suspicious how it's all unraveled. And now here you see the total dismantling of the American democracy for this corporate fiefdom thing that Trump wants. And people need to understand that there's such a thing as racketeering in this world. And if you go back to like mafias around the world or whatever, they always do protection rackets and stuff like that. And so if you want to do a protection racket that's fascist, the playbook 101 in American fascism or Western fascism is anti-immigration, always the other. So the perfect other is the immigrant. So if you want, so just play the role of the immigrant bad guy, just like supposedly the CIA did with Osama bin Laden. That was all CIA stuff. And so yeah, it's racketeering is real. Okay, in my Lincoln book, I think I'm gonna stop here. I'll talk about the Lincoln thing in the next episode. That's not an episode. These are just like little videos to describe some thoughts that I have as a schizophrenic and why I might be targeted. And this explain the synchronicity and feedback about time travel and all that jazz and stuff. And in society and why they might have warred on me to cause me schizophrenia, and to say I'm actually a sane person and I want to live a regular life in America. Okay. Thank you so much. Goodbye.